Residents of a small town in Colorado are on edge after investigators found the remains of a mother of two who went missing 3 years ago. Suzanne Morphew's husband was initially charged with her murder, but those charges were dropped late last year. Now the question is, will he be charged again? Correspondent Brooke Schaefer is live in Colorado. And Brooke, the husband's lawyers issued a statement maintaining his innocence, but people you spoke with in the area are not as sure.
Yeah, Elizabeth, here in Salida, Colorado, this is definitely the talk of the town. Everybody is talking about this case. Even if they didn't know Suzanne Morphew personally, maybe they knew her friends, they saw her around town, and almost everyone has told us the same thing. They think Suzanne's husband was involved in her death.
In the town of Salida, Colorado tonight, speculation is swirling after authorities this week identified newly found remains as those of missing mom Suzanne Morphew. Is her husband, Barry, the prime suspect?
What do you think? Do you think he was involved in this?
I definitely think he had an active part in this. It wasn't foul play. She didn't run away. She didn't go on a bike ride.
We pressed Colorado investigators on whether they were once again looking at Suzanne Morphew's husband, Barry. They declined to answer, only saying they have no new information. At Poncha Market, there's a sign for Suzanne Morphew and talk about her husband, who stopped here days after Suzanne's disappearance. Store owner Shan Hall. He was in here just a few weeks ago.
And one of my employees and I were here working one night, and he came in, and it was just a really uneasy feeling. You know who he is just by looking at him.
Suzanne Morphew disappeared Mother's Day 2020. She went for a bike ride and never came home.
Please, we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back.
Her husband, Barry, was arrested, charged with murder. Prosecutors argued Suzanne Morphew wanted a divorce. Her husband didn't. But right before the trial, prosecutors dropped the charges. Tonight, Barry Morphew's attorneys condemning speculation he is once again the prime suspect. In a statement to NewsNation saying in part, quote, "What appears to be the overriding focus is a finger pointing right back where it started 3.5 years ago, a movement to blindly reaccuse Barry for Suzanne's death." Morphew's legal team seeming to insinuate another killer, highlighting other recent missing persons cases and human remains they said were found in the same county as Suzanne Morphew. Colorado attorney Ernest Marquez.
Investigators have even said that at this point they have many more questions than they do answers.
Absolutely.
You would agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. If they didn't, then there'd be something wrong. I think it behooves everybody to keep an open mind and not try to focus and fit the facts to point to Barry Morphew.
Prosecutors here in Colorado dropped those charges against Suzanne Morphew's husband without prejudice, which means they could decide to charge him with murder again. Elizabeth?
All right, Brooke, thanks so much. And former homicide prosecutor Matt Murphy is still with us. Why did they drop the charges the first time?
Well, there were accusations of what's called a Brady violation, where essentially the defense came in and said, you have exculpatory information that you have not provided.
But that was it? Just because of that? I mean,
Well,
it's a pretty big deal to drop your whole case right before it goes to trial.
It's a huge deal to do that. Now, what that evidence was, there was an investigator for the Colorado Bureau of Investigation who let slip at one point. He said that there was DNA found on the glove box of her car that matched a series of sexual assault cases from Arizona and also Chicago. That's a big deal. So by them dismissing the case, what the prosecutors said at the time is they wanted more time to see if they could find her body. Now her body's been found, but there's virtually no chance that they're going to find any sort of useful DNA.
I was going to say, what kind of evidence can be after 3.5 years?
Well, sometimes you get lucky, but for this, her body was, in forensic terms, it's called being scavenged. That means she was in a shallow grave and animals dug her up. So her remains were scattered over a pretty wide area. Chances 3 years later of getting actual DNA linking to a suspect are very slim. Now, given the recent advances in DNA, we're in an era now where they use what's called familial DNA. It's how we got the Golden State Killer, where this person is not in what's called the CODIS system.
You're talking about the person whose DNA is on the glove box of her car.
That's right. So you've got
wanted in sexual assault cases.
Right. So that matches at least 3 other sexual assaults. So they say, and but it's only a matter of time, because even if that person doesn't wind up in the CODIS system, if their family members go on like 23andMe or any of those things, they can trace it that way. So I think that that person will be identified. Now, that opens a whole new can of worms, because if that person has any legitimate reason for having been in the car, when sometimes that happens, you can find fingerprints or DNA. So this is very much still a mystery. And I think that the last person that we just saw, I mean, that gentleman is right. This man he's presumed innocent, so everybody does need to keep an open mind.
It's interesting
the
that
evidence goes.
Both of the victims' daughters have supported their father throughout this process. Those were the two young women you saw walking in and out of court with him. So, wow, to be continued. All right, thanks, Matt. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.